There is.
A little bit of delay and
We don't delay.
we'll call the June 26, 2025 State Fair Community College Board of Trustee meeting to order. Welcome to all of you, whether you're here in person or online. I would first need the approval of the agenda that all of us were sent out in advance.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Same sign. Lisa, do we have any citizens comments? No, we have no comment. Okay. And now I think we get to do an introduction of some new employees.
Yeah, I'm privileged going first and instead of me doing it, but I wanna allow April, we've been doing some her team have been doing some fantastic things with adult ed. You also saw it at graduation, it continues, we're growing in Marshall. Lori, I put out to ELT today about success and things that are going on. It's just some fantastic things and we never get to say enough, but I wanted, since April was gonna be here, I thought it'd be nice if he gets to introduce her team members.
Feel like we should apply.
Well, I have the pleasure of introducing Amber Glenn. Here's Amber. Yeah, you can stand up if you want. We are very excited to have her in our AEL department, high school equivalency lead instructor here on our main campus. Amber has been a resident of Benton County since 2001. She's married to her husband Trey, and they have 5 children: Rachel, Isaac, David, Becca, and Emery. And Amber is a State Fair Community College alumni. She graduated here with her associate's degree in teaching, and she also has her bachelor's degree in middle school language arts from Central Methodist and a master's degree in educational technology from UCM. And throughout her career, Amber has held various roles within the Warsaw School District. She's been a substitute teacher, paraprofessional, special education instructor, elementary, and high school teacher. And since 2023, I know she may not be a new face to y'all. She has been part-time at our Warsaw site. And so we are really happy that she can join us now full-time. And she has some really nice hobbies too. She loves being outdoors, especially being in Benton County. We have the lake down there, and then she likes to garden, and she has lots and lots of plants. This is Amber.
Welcome.
The next one. I'd like to introduce Courtney Grissom. Courtney is the new testing center coordinator for us. Courtney's a Boonville native, right? So she's a local girl. She's a Columbia College alumna who's been teaching mostly middle school and junior high. God bless her, right? For the last 6.5 years. Most recently in Fayette. She also has taught a great deal of art classes. Wanted to make sure that we were really clear that she's not one of those art people though, right? So junior high, survive on her own no matter what topic she taught. Courtney spends all of her free time when she's not at work, chilling with her adorable 2-year-old daughter and is enjoying lots and lots of time with family.
Either one of you want to say anything more than what we already heard?
Excited to be here.
Well, we're glad to have you. You're welcome to stay for the rest of or if this is the time when you feel like that you want to go on about your evening activities, you're free to do so. We have the opportunity to meet face to face. If there are any others. It looks like next on the agenda is the approval of the May 22nd, 2025 board meeting minutes. Would entertain a motion.
Okay.
In favor, say aye. All same sign. Passes. Now it looks like we're ready for warrant for the May 2025 from Keith.
During the month of May 2025, the college disbursed $620,725 as indicated there. Of that was $285,969 for the Tech 2 renovations, and there were no payments during the month of May for either of the other construction projects. They kind of had a timing. It just went out. So 362,725.
Motion to approve.
Moved.
Any questions, discussion? All in favor, say aye. Well, same sign, passes. Now looks like we're gonna Have an institutional report.
We have a relatively new program, Digital Media Communications. So today, Sarah Nail, who's the coordinator of that program, is going to provide us an update on how that program is doing. And guys, the opportunity to start programs, not all the time you get to hear about how programs are doing. So this is that opportunity today.
All right, well, thank you guys very much for the opportunity to share about our program. Like Dr. Bates said, we're still sort of new. We started the digital media communications program during the dark days of COVID, which is a great time to launch a new program of study, right? That's kind of what I thought. So we're still growing and we're still trying to raise awareness, and who better to start with than our internal audience. So I wanted to give you guys more information about the program so that you're more educated when you speak with folks in the community as well, and have an idea about areas of growth too. So our digital media communications program equips graduates for 21st century communication careers. We pair foundations in marketing, communication, public relations with technical skills in photo and video production, graphic design, web development, social media management, which is really important within the realm of new media. So if it lives online, our students touch it. So skills they learn, things like podcasting, blogging, storytelling, careers that are what we're equipping graduates for are things like content creators, media strategists, podcasters, entry-level positions in marketing, communication, digital media, those kinds of things. A lot of our students are entrepreneurs that have their own small business where they manage a lot of different clients' needs, whether that's social media management or managing their web page, those kinds of things. We also have a lot of students that are going to work in places where they are the sole communication professional, right? So they're kind of responsible for handling internal and external communication pieces, social media management, newsletters, press releases, those kinds of things, media relations. And they're just kind of the only person within that kind of communication department, if you will. And so I do have a video I wanted to share with you guys. We had some educators and counselors on campus that were participating in the SFCC Pathways for Teachers Summer Institute through Technical Education. And so for our session, we asked the educators to collaborate, create content that we edited into this video. We asked them to capture content that related to technical education. And since it was our session, and I'm selfish like that, we also asked them to talk about digital media communication specifically as well. And what they came up with was so great. It's a video for educators by educators. Dawson from Marcom, who is a graduate of our program, he helped with this, and then he took all their footage and edited it together. And so it's just so good. I wanted to share it with you guys if I can.
Why digital media matters. That's how you meet your customers and your community. You're gonna have to help public users. You're gonna have to reach out and get people's attention.
For students that are not interested in going to college full time, they can just get a certificate in one semester and be done. Or they can continue on and get their associate's degree, which is pretty cool.
So Safe Care Programming Network Administration.
More
than you get hands-on learning, get the experiences with the instructors. They actually care about you being comfortable in your career field and making you ready to take on that course.
We're sending forms for our cross footings over here. It's an example project, a STEM project.
They have to do residential design and chief architect software.
They really do have state-of-the-art equipment here, high-quality programs. Students who may be be inclined to do more hands-on work and such.
When it was to the welding lab, and before you even get in lab, they have these virtual welding stations, so you can practice on, you can make a lot of money, for a little bit of training right out of that. And this is the CE lab, and they place their students for internships, and then they mostly have a career right out off of graduation.
Major Community College's Digital Media Communications program empowers students to expand their creative influence across today's digital landscape. Whether designing, filming, writing, or editing, they learn to turn creativity into communication that makes an impact.
All of those things are communicated with the students who are creating them. If you want your students to be in an updated and modern program, I think that you should recommend that they come to State Fair. And as an alumni, we have a little bias. However, I have not been here in several years and the facilities have gotten 1,000 times better and they just keep getting better and better.
I'm an alumni of State Fair Community College, and I would definitely recommend it for anyone who is interested.
Wow.
Told them it wasn't too late for a career in digital media is what I said. I was so impressed. And I think, showing you that video gives you a little bit of an idea, maybe too, of some of the types of things that our students learn and work on. But I just thought what they came up with was so great and really a testament, I think, to the work of everyone here, right? That we have educators from outside that see our value as an institution as well. So to tell you guys a little bit more about, from a student perspective, I have a student here with me today. Abby Rapier is here. She will be graduating in December with her AA and her AAS in digital media communications. She is finishing an internship in the next week, she hopes. And so she's going to share with you a little bit about her experience as well. And then I'll wrap up with some more business. So Abby, you want to, and she's going to share some of her work here from her business page that she has some things posted from her internship as well. So I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, guys. So right now for my internship, I chose to work with a semi-pro soccer team. So it's, they're both based out of Columbia. So Missouri Reign is the girls side and AFC Columbia is the boys. So they kind of let me do whatever I want. But basically, I just go to their games and practices and take pictures of their athletes being athletic. So I'd say my I don't know, like favorite thing that I've done. This is a game they played on the PPKC Stadium, so like that's where the KC Current play. I was fangirling the whole time. But yeah, they played there against their the KC Current's Division II team. Very exciting. I like to think I'm pretty good at my job. But yeah, and then I also got some photos of the other team as well. Pretty cool experience. And then I don't really know what else.
Tell us about some of the things you've learned from your courses.
Well, I mean, you kind of just experience like everything, even if like it's something I don't truly really care about. Like, I did. So, Theo was my instructor for news reporting. I'm not a news reporter, but I did pretty well in that class, and I actually ended up having one of my articles published in our local newspaper. So that was pretty cool. My parents were very excited. They bought like all the news. Then, but you know, you also learn, I took like a public relations class. You learn a lot about social media, which is really important for me because my whole thing is like Instagram, Facebook. That's how people get a hold of me and how I brand myself. So I think of other things.
Do you?
What are you gonna do now? Get graduated.
The plan, so like dream career is to like be a photographer for like the NWSL, any of the teams. I don't care which team. I just want to be in it. So, and I really think this kind of like launches me into that, especially with the internship, because it's really flexible and like you can like pick like whatever kind of internship you want as long as it teaches you about something. So gives you great experience. And especially like with this team, they're really good about they have a lot of like you can network pretty easily. So because like a lot of different coaches come to games and everything. And then they do a really good job of whenever they use my pictures, they tag me or like we get like collaborations going, like this one. All these in here are mine. Yeah. So they do a good job about, you know, like if I'm there, like everyone else knows who I am. That's important. Oh.
So you already had your photography business before you started as a student here, but I remember in the past you said, I mean, did you learn anything from your photography?
Yeah, I did take a photography class here. It was pretty, I was doing it for like 4 years until I got here. And it was really interesting. I did come in pretty like narcissistic, I guess, pretty like egotistical. I was like, I don't need it. But yeah, I had Chris Holmberg as my instructor, and he did a really good job of teaching me things I didn't know, like about composition and all that. So I think this picture, I'm most proud of this picture right here. So I think I probably wouldn't have gotten that without that class. So right spot right there.
You were a dual credit student as well.
Yes, I got 37 credits while I was in high school. So, yeah.
Where are you from?
In high school.
Where are you from?
Lake of the Ozarks. I went to Camden.
Job.
Okay, so I gave you a little information sheet just with some kind of key points. You know, of course, I think this is a destination program. It was the first of its kind in the state of Missouri. We do have competition now. However, we've been doing it longer. We have made tweaks that I think have led to great improvements for students. I think we'll have, you know, graduates out there, word of mouth, working. We'll have internship sites that have worked with our students before. So we have a lot of really great advantages there by being, you know, the first to have an AAS degree in this particular field. Growth, we are continuing to grow. We had about 44% growth from 22 to May of 25. And this is really without a ton, really much of any paid advertising. It's all pretty much organic. I think, is that fair, Brad? Yeah, pretty much. And so, you know, I also think that that's pretty impressive as well, that we're just kind of continuing to grow. We have at least 9 new students for the fall, but I think that's going to be more than that. That number was from April, and our classes are already having really great enrollment for the fall. So I'm excited about that. In terms of capacity, this is another strength of our program in terms of a technical education program where they can come for 2 years and get to work. You know, in terms of affordability, our equipment is pretty reasonable. We don't have huge specialty pieces of equipment that require a whole building and things like that. You know, there is obviously video production and photography equipment and those kinds of things, but like comparatively, it's a very affordable program to offer. And we have really great capacity too. You know, really thinking about, well, what is exactly our capacity? I think for, you know, with all current resources, we can probably accommodate 30 to 45 students every fall, brand new. If we expanded to a communication lab, which we're sort of trying to work on, we were recently approved for Perkins funding. And you know, chatting with Mary about some opportunities as well, right? if we were able to have a communications lab, because right now currently we share lab space with the art department, which has been great for us to start out. We share a Mac lab with them, but eventually they're gonna need more space and we're gonna need more space. And so if we were to have that communication lab, we're looking at 60 to 75 students we could accommodate every single fall. You know, the more I'm out talking about our program and visiting with prospective students, the more excited they are about it. It's something that they haven't heard of before. To be able to work in this industry with a 2-year degree and get to work, they're very excited about that. And then lastly, the value, we're interdisciplinary, which is great. So we have 3 art classes, we have 2 web classes, 2 business marketing classes, and then 8 communication courses. So what that means is that we have full-time faculty from a variety of disciplines that help to, you know, in their expertise area, which helps students like Abby develop those really well-rounded skills. It also brings enrollment into those other programs as well in terms of their courses. And I just think it's a really great feature of our program as well. We do have some stackable certificates. So we have a certificate in digital media communications, skill certificate that 18 hours. We have several students that have added that to things you might not think about, like agribusiness, which is, I think, brilliant. You know, it's hard to work in business today and not be in the business of promoting yourself, right? Yeah, I know. And so, you know, those that have recognized that either they're an entrepreneur or a business person, you know, they've added some form of credential in digital media communications to help with that. And then we have quite a few students who have a dual program. So they'll get their AA in something and then their AAS in digital media. Some of those range from theater, which, you know, that's pretty smart too. If you're gonna have your own theater productions and you're gonna need to promote those, graphic design, athletic training. We have 2 or 3 dual credit students designated as AAS digital media students as well. And so excited about that opportunity for students as well. It is a high demand field. So I have more requests from people in the community who want to hire people with these skills, want interns with these skills, than I have students available. And so I'm constantly trying to send contract work to people too that they're already, I mean, my students have already full with some of that kind of things too. So, and lastly, I think we have really quality coursework and a program. Through this program, we were able to increase our communication offerings for our AA students as well. Our partner institutions, like where our students are transferring and things like that, they like what they see. So employers, internship site coordinators, university partners, they all really like the kind of students that are completing our program here. So that is what I have. Do you guys have any questions for me?
Just comment that Sarah described students' community that fits in with the objectives plan, the work, learn, thrive, and the strategic visioning. That's what we would hope. We hope that success that digital media has had is reflected in the whole program we offer.
Well, and certainly your passion and your energy serves the community as well as state faculty knowledge. Thank you for that.
And really think about that stackable credential that, well, we've all said, but Sarah has taken that. It's not just in her program. She said every program, and she can get others to think about it. She's now delivering a skill set, whether they get that only, whether they get that during her degree, or they get that in any other degree, or they get that after they have a degree. She's adding value of that lifelong learner, whatever we want to call it. And so if you can imagine other programs doing similar things, as she said, it strengthens all the programs. So she's gone beyond just going siloed her program. So it's a really nice model, and I hope she uses this to do some PD with some of our others to show how this can be a benefit.
So Abby, did you come to here for the program specifically?
Yeah.
You plan to come to Stanford prior to this?
Well, my sister was like, she was in the nursing program. I kind of thought State Fair and this, and I was like, oh, yeah.
Any other questions?
So very much.
Thank you very much for your comments. Appreciate it.
Very nice. All right, next on the agenda is the Pettis County Fire Department proposal. I'm not sure if that's your
Yeah, Stanford Community College owns a small piece of property. It's the main campus across Clarington. On the east side of Clarington. And the college a long time ago as service to our community established a very generous lease with the Pettis County Fire Department for that property, and they built a fire station and serve the western part of our county through that fire station. And it's a small piece of property. The way Clarington lies, it really not useful to us, and they had some use for that. Their building is now needing some repair. They're planning some expansion. They'd really like to make some significant modifications to their facility and to that land. And as they work on that project, they believe would be advantageous to them in terms of any financing and other issues if they own the land rather than lease the land. Even though we have a very generous lease, we're leasing for basically $1 a year. It's just that legal status of owning the land that will maybe help them with future plans. So they have made a proposal to our Board of Trustees, and that proposal is attached in our agenda. And so they have proposed that we transfer ownership of the property to the Pettis County Fire Protection District number 1. And they will assume all responsibility for any closing costs, legal fees, title work, any other expenses associated with the official transfer of this property. And that if the fire protection district ever vacated or ceased using the property for fire protection services, they will donate the land back to State Fair Community College in its entirety at no cost to the college. So that's their proposal. And usually in the agenda, we make some kind of recommendation of whether to accept or reject different items. This is a proposal from an outside entity, so I felt like it would be inappropriate. I think it's personally, as president, I think it's a good leave it to the board discussing this and deciding whether or not to accept their proposal or how to proceed. Any discussion?
Anything contract wise that they would donate it back to us?
Yeah,
So, Dr. Bates and I have had some conversation on this. I think it's best that attorney would draft up that's a contract, provide it to a title company and actually proceed through that way to make sure that we take care of any legalities on it.
Deed would have a restricted covenant. And you transfer to a different party, we have to our action by our trustees to not exercise the option to receive the problem.
And for those that old enough to know that road used to go square.
Yeah,
where-
I remember.
Yeah, dude, oh,
Yeah.
yeah, you even remember. So yeah, I used to just,
Thompson and.
yeah, but when they wanted to meet, they did that. And so then that became that little corner that really, as you say, no use for State Fair Community College. But, and I also think, yeah, if I had a building and I wanted to do things to it, I would want to know that I own it.
Well, and they wouldn't be able to do financing without owning it because they can use it as collateral because we're technically owning it.
Right.
Think it's unlikely there would be any liability to us as owner from operations by the fire department. But it is still, it is still conceivable. So we would actually be eliminating a small liability risk by accepting the proposal.
So, I would entertain a motion. For this proposal. I guess is,
We determined we didn't have to make this salvage.
Wasn't there a local, they're a governmental unit?
We could accept her proposal without doing anything further.
We may need to do something again the next session. To be confirmed that, but we can do it without any kind of a bidding or anything.
we would be accepting the proposal from the fire department.
We would just need to put, and because we've got a lot of other things we need to do, obviously, to make this happen.
Also suggested that the word out, but
You're in favor of doing this.
accepting the proposal and authorizing the college to develop legal documents to finalize that, work with counsel for the fire department.
You need that.
If Justin has anything he wants to. say.
No, I think that's the right play. And then from our attorney, he should be paid first by them. Opinion. And I'm willing to donate it. I'd like them to consume the cost. And I don't think there'll be any real closing costs. Yes, legal fees, yeah. I don't think there'll be anything or with closing or title work, it'll be minimal. I make a motion that we accept the little presented by the Pettis County Fire Department for the land transfer of the property located across Clarendon. All fees will be billed back to Pettis County Fire Protection. Does that cover everything? I just want to make sure I got everything because there's a lot to put in there.
So subject to approval by council.
Subject to, I'm waiting on subject approval by council. My motion.
Second.
Any other thoughts or discussion? You say aye, and same sign. Motion passes. Thank you. Now, we have a policy 1214 about animals on campus, and it looks like Scott. We folded.
Probably didn't bring a dog or something with you. Right, that was gonna go and tell.
Seen enough.
No, this passes. No, thank you so much. So this is a recommendation to adopt a policy. This does not supplant, or it is essentially creating a new policy which essentially addresses animals on campus. It reaffirms State Fair's vision to, welcome trained service animals by visitors, by students, by employees, but also to essentially set guardrails and rules and limits on visitors, employees, and students for bringing pets on the campus. So it would restrict in large part those pets on campus, but of course, the service animals are always going to be welcome. It also creates or essentially maintains a way for emotional support animals by students to be welcomed into the housing area to be in compliance with the Fair Housing Act. this is taken into consideration ADA and other applicable laws to be able to maintain compliance. So essentially, it would supplant Regulation 2114, which is currently assistance animals. And it's a student regulation that talks about the process to ask for an emotional support animal to be accompanied by the student. And so it incorporates that part in it. But we recommend it in the 1000 series because it addresses both visitors, students, and employees now.
Policy and the accompanying regulation has been through the college process, so it's been discussed at College Council, which is a representational group, executive leadership team, and it's been submitted for comment. We did receive a comment, I understand. We suggested, Scott has addressed that suggestion with the employee that we, yes, and so it's been widely disseminated. And we're submitting it here today for your.
So it is recommended the Board of Trustees approve the establishment of policy 1214, animals on campus, as presented. This policy clarifies and outlines the college's stance on animals being brought to campus by students, employees, and visitors.
Other questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye. Same sign. There's nothing. So it looks like we're position change, farm manager, convert to agriculture business.
Yes.
Oh, stop. I'm sorry.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. So essentially, this would take our farm manager, which is a professional staff, must teach. So they have a small teaching load, and it would kind of decouple that. So we would like to continue to grow the ag program and have a full-time faculty position, agribusiness position. And then the portions, the duties that the farm manager would do, the oversight of the hobby farm and things like that, would be moved to a part-time classified staff position for those duties that the farm, the oversight of the farm.
So as we had some, we used to examine our agriculture program with some turnover in employees, we discovered that there was an opportunity to get some more faculty involved on the instructional side and still have a good relationship with somebody managing the farm and getting students involved in those demonstration activities on the farm. So a local farmer engaged to do that, by Jones, and he's doing a wonderful job. He's not just taking care of the farm, but envisioning ways to involve students and really looking ahead to the curriculum and building things to happen at times when students can be involved with that. I had a discussion with him today about other ideas he had. So it was a great opportunity to expand our instructional side and still maintain the great demonstration farm environment. But we had that position, and now we're formally changing that position to keep Richard satisfied on the missions, and we're bringing it is
recommended that the Board of Trustees approve the change in position from a full-time farm manager whose primary focus was oversight and maintenance of the farm with a small teaching load to a full-time agricultural business instructor position. This will be a full-time faculty position responsible for teaching agribusiness courses, while maintenance and oversight of the farm will transition to a part-time classified staff position. The need for this position was identified during careful analysis of our agricultural program and the need to divert necessary resources to classroom instruction.
I would entertain a motion to approve.
Moved.
Any other discussion or questions? All in favor, say aye. On the same sign. Thank you so much, Scott. I turned, so I couldn't find it. I'm like, what? Dr. Bates, do we need a vote? I don't see it on my thing, but I got to there. Now it's donation of surplus property and Keith.
We already talked about surplus property. I think we've heard this, but I'll just go through this. So it's recommended the Board of Trustees approve the donation of State Fair Community College personal property that has been determined to no longer be needed by the college and thus deemed surplus property. The items to be donated are approximately 100 bunk bed sets. These are 2 bunk beds per set and mattresses previously used for student housing across the way. Those are not being used in the new residence hall we're buying new. Property will be donated to the Sedalia Pettis County United Way and Recovery Lighthouse. Right, talk to folks.
I would entertain a motion to approve. Any questions or discussion? And all in favor, say aye. Same sign. Motion passes. He stay there because it looks like advanced health science.
Here for a while now.
Oh, okay. And data cabling.
So obviously we're renovating the Advanced Health Science Center. So it's recommended the Board of Trustees accept the bid for network data cabling for the Advanced Health Science Center expansion. The amount of $29,316.64 from BATS Business Technology Raytown Mo. This bid was the lowest bid of 5 bids received. Plenty of this is Mo excels 5. So we internally do the data claiming for all the projects. BATS is also the vendor we've used for
we
okay. Anyway, so that's what the supporters were going on.
So I would entertain a motion to. Is there discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
It's a favorite item because it has whereases and where.
I'm not gonna read the whole.
Resolution, how would we know what it's all about? But anyway, this is about authorizing solicitation of direct financing, pay a portion of the cost of the new outdoor complex, athletic complex, and authorizing other matters related.
Well, summarize this for, we are seeking financing to, the athletic complex is going forward with doing that as part of that financing. In addition to Mary's capital campaign, we're all looking at financing a portion of that. As a requirement to do that, we have to, I noticed to the public that we're seeking financing, and the resolution does that. Part of the resolution also appoints Gilmore and Bell as our legal counsel for that. And Columbia Capital is our financial advisor in that. So really, so as she read it, this resolution authorizes solicitation of direct financing to pay a portion of the cost of the complex and authorizing other matters, which are the appointment of those 2 entities as partners in doing this.
Mary remains confident that she's going to raise the funds for this facility, and the foundation is confident on that. But, holding matter when you're raising money, some of it's pledged over multiple years. So, fortunately, the construction companies don't let you pay over the multiple years. So you have to have the cash up front. So this allows us to.
Any more reading you're gonna do, or?
You want me to read the whereas and all, but I basically summarized for you.
Sorry.
The 3 things are that's the money and the 2 entities that will be part of
this same that we use for new ag building, residence hall. The same thing with the different project plugged into what we've done before. Then Columbia Columbia Finance has been used successfully. Columbia Capital and the all one of the law firms in the state of Missouri that really with type of financing.
Would entertain a motion to approve.
Someone
Your second. In favor, say aye.
Aye.
Same sign. Motion passes. Keith, how about the fiscal year 2026 budget?
I will read on this one though. Let you can get more.
budget.
To feel like that you've been able to share what you know.
So I'm firstly going to read the transmittal memo from Dr. Bates, and I will read the at that point, read the agenda item. So this builds on our, this is obviously our fiscal 2026 budget, building on our momentum. So to read this, FY 2025 has been an exciting and transformative year for State Fair Community College. For the second year in a row, our enrollment has grown. We're entering FY 2026 with continued momentum and strong prospects for future growth. Coming year, we will begin holding classes in the new Ella Brock Agricultural Mechanics building. We'll open our new 196-bed residence hall and complete the expansion of our Advanced Health Science Center. We also anticipate breaking ground on our new outdoor athletic complex and initiating formal planning for expanding agriculture and farm programming. Momentum propelling SFCC forward is strong. We're making plans to make it even stronger as we complete an aggressive strategic plan and campus master plan. The FY 26 budget, strategic, aligned, and forward focused. The FY 2026 budget is aligned with SFCC's mission to provide relevant, responsive learning experiences and empower our students and communities to prosper. Built around board direction, strategic themes, and fast goals, this budget reflects campus-wide collaboration and alignment. Every department reviewed and refined its budget to ensure mission alignment, operational efficiency, and strategic investment. FY 2026 state funding. The Missouri Legislature approved a 3% increase in core funding for community colleges. SFCC shares $272,953. That's a 3% holdback, bringing our total state truly approved and finally passed core funding $9,493,000 and $493,020. While MOEC sales funding has paused for FY 26, we expect it to return in FY 2027. Enrollment and affordability. The FY 2026 budget projects a 1.5% organic enrollment increase. Tuition and common fee increases remain modest, 2.3% for in-district, 2.8% for in-state, both below inflation. With our streamlined enrollment process, enhanced CRM efforts, focused navigator model, strong outreach campaigns, we're confident enrollment will meet or exceed these projections. Investing in growth and student success. The budget anticipates total enrollment growth of approximately 3%, which includes the 1.5% organic growth described above and additional growth in program expansion, including year 2 of climate controls and technology, growth in our technology at our Jefferson City site, and doubling the behavioral health support and digital hygiene programs. New investments in FY 2026 budget include the addition of a behavioral health support faculty and a full-time assistant coach for track and cross country were the 2 new positions we've added. Each of the investments and expansions will further provide SFCC students with a strong foundation to enter highly skilled careers or transfer to a 4-year college of their choice. We're confident that the FCCC budget will lead to a stronger employee base and an increasing number of students choosing State Fair Community College to prepare for their future. For the budget summary, the FY 2026 budget includes all forecasted revenues and expenditures across all fund categories. Any additional funding requests during the year will be presented to the board for formal action. We recommend board approval of the total budget authority in the amount of $66,672,940 as detailed below. The educational and general fund is $37,799,06 in revenues, $35,572,597 expenditures. Auxiliary funds of $4,757,470 in revenues and $3,345,699 expenditures. Restricted funds 22, 927, 638 revenue, 24, 274, 250 in expenditures. Our agency funds, our club funds, we are custodial for 472,442 in revenues, 395, 731 expenditures, and our plant funds, which is our debt service, revenues of 854,491, 307,663 expenditures. I want to thank the board, the faculty, staff, students, and our community for their tremendous support and exemplary efforts over the past year. My privilege and work to work alongside the many talented faculty and staff who are dedicated to serving our students' and communities. Lake Perry Community College is stronger than others than ever. I'm committed to work with each stakeholder to make it even better. Thanks. That is the transmittal memo. So we've been working on this budget for literally since July 1 of last year. Many of you have been involved in it. We have involved in the whole college. Everybody's reviewed it. We've looked at it. Now I feel very good about it. There's detail within the board packet of the budget by department within the college. Both the budget of this year as well as expenditures and revenues for the past 3 years for their budgets as well. It's broken, and then there's also in there showing you more of a functional classification in there if there's any questions of any of those. But it's recommended the Board of Trustees approve the fiscal year 2026 budget, granting budget authority of $66,672,940. The FY 2026 budget includes compensation and tuition increase as previously approved. And is based on an overall 3.0% overall increase over 2025.
Entertain a motion to approve.
Okay.
Questions that we can ask Keith? All in favor, say aye.
I still think it's important. Here that this is a year-long process, that there's continual review and the input from the college community and from the board of trustees. And so we approved the budget. It's just not coming in out of, there's been a lot of work, study done, anticipation of the budget, and was exactly as anticipated, the result of all the work during the year.
One is the FY 2026 carryover additional budget authority.
I'm already asking for additional budget authority now.
Much time. This is where we.
So, in the FY 2025, the last few months, the board has graciously approved additional budget authority due to the surplus performance of this year. Some of the projects were part of that additional surplus authority were not able to be completed prior to the end of the fiscal year. Therefore, those expenses will technically occur in FY 2026. So the fact that we're not paying for them this year, by definition, means they're going into reserves. I'm going to ask that you allow us then to pay them in out of next year, which is taking that budget through reserves. So I'll read what we're doing with that. So it's recommended the Board of Trustees grant the use of $212,500 in reserve funds as additional budget authority in FY 26. These are funds that were approved as additional budget authority in FY 2025, but not able to be utilized due to timing of the projects. Funds will be used for the previously approved projects, including in the FY 2025 budget authority as shown below. The website CMR was $75,500. There's a classroom renovation, or we're calling it a futuristic or adaptive classroom renovation for $50,000. That was part of those additional funds. And the Davis Multipurpose Center sound system upgrade of $87,000. All those projects were not able to be concluded in 2025, so they will need to be spent in FY 26. For question your authority to carry over them.
The motion to approve.
Second.
Any questions or discussion?
project we've approved and it's just a timing issue.
All in favor, say aye. Same sign. Thank you, Pete. All right, President's report.
First, you have attached to the upcoming events calendar, next week. June 30th to July 2nd is the conference. Jeff, Richard and Patty will be attending along with many of the several of the administrators of the state leadership team, including Keith and Dr. Murder and Representative. I mean, someone's going to be hired here later. Representative of Student Services, and so we have a good group going. Looks like it's going to be a good meeting. One of the things that's happened just recently is the Commissioner of Higher Education was invited by the presidents and chancellors to meet with us, and he has agreed to do that and has asked us for what we wanted to talk about. And so one of the things that we're interested in is implementation of the new transfer bill. That's forming some discipline around 5 areas, develop a pathway that all colleges and universities will follow. And for the first 2 years of study, 60 credit hours of study in those 5 areas. So we want to get moving on that quickly and efficiently. We have ideas for that. So that's one of the topics that we'll be discussing with him. And we have some other topics that we need to discuss as well that discuss here, but if you want more information, let me know. So I'm excited about that. Our leadership team, the executive leadership team is in retreat on 18th and 19th. The first day we're going to be in Sedalia, second day at the Boonville campus. And so the purpose of that retreat is to help us to establish the priorities and vision for next year, that we can talk with the board at the retreat on July 31st at the Board of Trustees meeting. And then when faculty return, we have the convocation, the all campus meetings in August. So this is an important event. I'm looking forward to that, the leadership team. And then to kind of let our hair down, there's the SFCC golf tournament for the athletic department. So there's still, I think, some room, but it's filling up. So if you're a golfer, Patty, love to have you join.
Get somebody with a ball.
All right, so that's the calendar. If you could put up the summer census. So our summer session is underway and our summer census numbers are in. So let's look at the other. So our head count for summer is 1,161. That's a 10% change. And our credit hours are 6,481. That's 11. That's 12% change. So really proud of that. And then if you can kind of show one. Practice, so we should. This is plotting summer enrollment. The top is head count, the bottom is credit hours. It's the last 5 years. And the top one is summer 20. So you can see that steadily increased the last 3 years in our summer enrollment. So I want to say great job to our team, our leadership team, and all of the folks that are working on activities, which that's really and I think it says some good things about maybe portends positive news for fall. Then I also have attached a letter from our representative, Mark Alford. This letter was from his website, and he required by law to post any requests he has for congressional directed spending that have been approved. And just this week, he has posted a request for funding for State Fair Community College for the Workforce Training Center for Agriculture Advancement. And it's really for our demonstration farm and for building educational facility for the educational farm. $6 million in funding. So this is the first time that State Fair Community College, to my knowledge, at least in 20 some years since I've been here, that we have had a congressional directed spending ask. Excuse me. So I really don't know if this is how good a news this is, but the first time ever I don't know. I think that there are some hoops we still have to jump through. And it doesn't mean we probably don't when we start spending this money right now. But we're in better shape than we've ever been. So it's exciting news on that. So Dr. Murders wrote most of the request, and appreciate his work, and Jolynn Turley also who developed this proposal and submit it to our legislators. We also have worked really hard to establish a relationship with Representative Alford, and I think reflective of that strong relationship that we have. So I'm really excited about that. Excuse me, I extended to add also, excuse me, let me. I intended to add also a brief update. I had the presidents and chancellors of Missouri community colleges had a retreat Monday and Tuesday in St. Louis. And had a really good session and really, talked about some important things that we would like to work on in this community college, including some things like perhaps a statewide survey of the impact of business training that community colleges have on training employees for this industry in Missouri. This was my recommendation, so I'm proud of that. But our group voted to engage with a firm to develop a statewide survey for that we can use then for advocacy of community colleges, and we hope to have it done in time for the legislative session. 6th legislative session. We also talked about really good possibility that state appropriations are going to be on a downward trend in the next few years. There has been the movement to their state revenues are down in some cases, and there are increased commitments to other mandatory expenditures that leave the option state funding for community colleges to be used to balance the budget. So in light of that, in light of the legislative efforts to also limit local property taxes, one of the things that we have the advantage that's really affecting our revenues. So what are other sources of revenues that we should start to explore, including statewide sales tax or sources of revenue that we're going to be working on exploring those kind of options. We also had a wonderful presentation by ACCT President or CEO Ji Hang Lee, and he gave us an update, probably the best update I've heard on the federal budget process. And just about every educational program that we receive funding from the federal budget is being mentioned for reductions or elimination. And that has created great anxiety among our state, faculty and staff, students. And the good news is very little of that's been decided yet, but it looks like there's the Senate at least is changing the directions on the Pell Grant reductions. And so it's like a good chance that we're going to protect at least where we're at with Pell Grants. There might still be some reduction in the amount of money available for Pell Grants, but it's a good chance that our part-time students were in access to that. The other budget impacts are a little bit uncertain, but the good news is that in many cases, according to the rules of order in House and mostly the Senate, in some cases, significant changes would require a vote of 60 senators to. And so, as you know, that we're really close to 50-50 in the Senate in terms of Republicans and senators. So getting 60 votes on anything is really. So in some cases, well, that fact is going to force negotiation. Really kind of far out proposals will probably not hit. And so that's given me a little hope that Hanks assessment is probably going to be a shade. Everything's going to be shaved, but most things are not going to be eliminated. So, TRIO, adult basic education programs, federally funded. We receive close to $1 million in Perkins funding that's being mentioned as being eliminated. Start going down the list. Probably get them protected. We may not get as much money as we have in the past, so we may have to figure out how to adjust with that, but that's better than the elimination. So, issues in the Middle East have kind of delayed things. Congress goes on recess in August. There's some push to try to get this done before August, but there's really a good chance, 50 chance it's not going to happen before August. So there's probably some opportunities for inviting legislators to our campus, have some discussion about this. So I am working with some other presidents to host a meeting here on campus with some key legislators during the state fair. They're in town for the governor's to kind of build off that. And, we would intend to show off some ways that those investments have paid off here, include some students in that, some TRIO success stories. For example, we have a local pediatrician who was at-risk student when she started at State Fair Community College, joined the TRIO program, was successful, transferred on, and now she's practicing medicine in our community, high demand area. She would be a great voice to speak with somebody about the value of the TRIO program. So I don't know if we can pull it off, but try to work on that. And I'll keep you. So any questions for me? It's my report.
All right, looks like finance for Keith again.
1 month into the year, to follow on a little bit of a bunch of talk we talked about today in performance. We will always maintain and work our budget to be fiscally responsible. allows us to adapt and manage. The college, I will tell you, is that when I work at the college, has been good about that. Confident regardless of what happens going forward, that we're in a position to do relatively better than anybody else out there at the same time. So when you look at, again, as I've talked to you throughout the year, as you look at the budget and performance this year, we continue to be strong. We have exceeded our revenue forecast. Our expenses are pretty close to being where we thought. Obviously, the month of June, there's a lot of spending going on because they were given some additional budget authority. So everyone's spending that as fast as they can, but it's for all the right reasons. It's to increase our offerings, those types of things, and also to make sure that we can get that done while we do have budget that we may not have if we don't have next year. Long way of saying the budget as it continues to be strong, still very strong in the fiscal year. Seeing no change to that. In terms of some expenses that have come in during, between 10 and 25,000, both of the expenses on here were from the additional budget authority that you gave. One was the addition of an additional water softener in the new residence hall. Kind of came out of the construction budget as well, but we still had the budget for it. And then also this one was a simple syllabus build out that came from our Center for Teaching and Learning, one of their initiatives and requests they had to put that into place. So we were able to put both of those on board, which was good. Financial report.
For discussion. CP marketing recognition.
Yeah, so got a report from CP in regards to Community College Month. There was close to combine the CC month and the Community College Month. There's close to 70,000 posts made according to the Google search engine results we got. But State Fair was recognized for their post on X. There's only about 18 colleges mentioned in the letter, and State Fair was one of them. And the post goes back to April 14th. We posted about the future SFCC technical education and health science students signing their letter of intent on signing day. Thank you for making the best decision ever by choosing a Roadrunner. Hashtag CC month. So we got recognition from ACCT and the Department of Education on that one.
Thank you for your leadership that you're providing and, brought that to our attention and.
Member of the ACC team, communication and education.
Yes. Thank you. Yeah. Richard and I attended the employee. And Justin, I'm so sorry. I was getting there just all of a sudden trying to think about, I'm really thinking more the title of what it was. But anyway, just very well planned and so much fun. I thought, the way and Scott's team, whoever helped, and I know it takes a lot of people probably to decorate but it was educational. If you can imagine, if you didn't go, I mean, we just went through all of when people, were showing their 35 years before that, there's something up on the screen. They made it look like it's, even Dr. Bates got in on this. So I won't tell that part, but it's like, what happened? You'd start out, Scott would say, what happened in the year 2000? And of course, it was the year of the Y2K. Remember, if you remember that, I hadn't even thought of that. But yeah, it was just entertaining, educational. And I think the recognition is so important. You did it in such a positive. I just, for those of you who weren't able.
Good job, Scott.
Yes.
The rest of the team.
Anybody who had part in that.
For the record, just like Y2K, someday everyone will forget that I mispronounced.
Oh, and they also, and so that was kind of fun how they did.
You do that again?
That was the newspaper
The
clipping.
newspaper went in and he got it right.
Yeah, that's how they dismissed the tables was that, they had something up there about, did they play, that's the only reason I remember that, but you got to go to eat because of you first. But there was the question in this table, I went by them when I had my food and so they're like, we're never gonna get to go out and eat. Just as I left, I heard them say something about when was the first State Fair Community College baseball team played on that. Ran back over there to them and I said, 1969, 1970s, anyway, so they said they were thankful because they didn't have to be last. But it's just things like that. You're not just sitting at the table waiting and twiddling your thumbs. It was just really cool. So always enjoy that.
We should. And we should probably. Correctly answered the question about pronouncing the name. And the answer was it was fake.
You see, so we missed you. Yes, Justin was there. So anything else? It looks like our next meeting will be held Thursday, July the 31st. Notice that is a different week. Month, typically we're the 4th, this will be the 5th, July 31st, 2025 at 7 p.m. Different time. We'll be right here because we will have our board retreat at 4:30 before that. So next thing on the agenda is the request for closed session. After we come out of closed session, there is nothing that we will be bringing forth, so we will adjourn immediately after the general session. But I would like to request a motion for session for hiring, firing, disciplining, or promotion of personnel pursuant to RSMO section 610 and 0213. Do we need Scott, Keith, and Dr. Murders request them to stay? So I would entertain that motion.
So moved. Second.
Roll call.
Spears is absent. Carr,
Yes.
Justin Hubbs.
Yes.
Dave.
Yes.
Tricia Wood.
Yes. Thank you all for coming.
Yeah.